Hello, everyone. Today, I wanted to talk about personal branding in the wine industry, or for the wine industry, rather. And I asked Boroka Cherby, who is a fellow Hungarian, at the moment in Budapest, but usually in between Budapest and Dubai, to help me understand a few things about personal branding and to give me some guidance, because my latest client is actually about building a personal brand. So welcome. Let's talk about personal branding a little bit, because I think this is a little bit underrated in wine circles. And just to give you a bit of a feedback, Boroka is not actually from the wine world, but she is a brand builder, I would say, a personal brand builder. But I'll let her talk about your journey into this whole industry and how you started and everything.
Yes, I'm hello for everybody. Thank you for inviting me to this live. Yes, I'm building personal brands, and not only in the wine industry, but in very different industries. But I researched a little bit the wine industry, and I had to realize it's the same. Personal branding is always the same in any industry. Always the educational content, which is changing by industry, but usually the concept of personal branding is the same. So my journey, basically, I come from marketing and communication. And I had different companies in the past, and I always enjoyed the part of marketing in the company. And then at one point I started to build my own personal brand. And at that time I had no purpose, like no business purpose connected to my personal brand. I was just enjoying sharing my thoughts with the people. I had a blog and Instagram, LinkedIn. And then my friends started to approach me that they like the way how I communicate, because they feel it's different than the usual influencer culture. That is all about the person, like what I wear, where I go, how I look. But I had some message I wanted to convey to the people and some kind of mission. And it's not me who was the most important thing in the communication. And my friends approached me that they like the way how I communicate, because it's not too much, it's not pushy, but I can get across my message. And I should tell them my secret, how I do this.
And I was going to say the same. Please tell your secret, because that's why we're here anyway.
And they always told me that they have something valuable to share with the world. They have an idea, a company, and then they want to communicate it in a way that it's not too much, it's pushy, the message is really hate, and not their ego or their own importance is in the middle, but the message. And they ask me how I do this, and then I always help, of course, my friends. But then I had so many requests to drink a coffee that I got always poisoned by caffeine, that one day I said, okay, I'm going to do my own lecture or workshop. I invite all the people who wants to know. And then I'm done done with this. So I basically put on my social media that if anyone is interested in a workshop where I explain how you build your personal brand on social media, I will do this. And I had 70 comments, I think, that I want this. So the market validated it, and I basically promoted and created my first workshop, and it was a huge success. And it's not just a success because the workshop was good, but I felt I really found my way or purpose in life, because the funny thing is that in the past I was afraid of public speaking. Yeah. But somehow I was attracted to public speaking, but I was afraid at the same time. And then at that moment, I had to push myself and do something which I was afraid of, but I really wanted. So I felt really happy after this workshop that this is what I want to do. I want to talk to people. I want to share my thoughts. I want to help them to open up, to assert, to communicate better. And then I basically established my brand for this, which is in Hungarian called Te vagy a brand, and in translation, you are the brand.
And that's why the reason why I asked the question of this whole topic is, who is the brand? And I was so proud of myself when I came up with this. I thought like that was a great idea. Anyway, sorry again. Yeah.
Yes, you are the brand, because that's the truth. And we just discussed this before, that why personal branding is important, and you will probably ask this question. But yes, we are the brand because social media is here, and there is a huge demand now from the public side as well to see who is this brand. Like, we want to attach the face, the personality to the brands. We don't want to see empty logos. We want to see mission, values, people, and that's why I think personal brand is more and more important. And I basically established the company, which is in Hungary. I'm one of the top experts in this field, personal branding, and I have clients, thousands of clients who educate themselves about personal branding through my courses or through my mentoring programs. And I help people like you to build an impressive online presence. You can reach your target audience, and you can be really known in your field.
And this is how I actually found you. I think first time it was on LinkedIn, and then I saw some of your YouTube videos, and then I followed you on Instagram as well. Before I reached out saying, okay, do you want to do a one of these lives as well? Because I always felt within the wine industry, personal branding is still in very much in baby steps at the moment. So people just realizing the power of personal branding. Obviously, I'm talking about very generic terms here. There are quite a few very well-known people who built a very successful personal brand. And in fact, I think one of them who, well, you know him as well, is Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V, who started from wine and he built up his personal brand. Now he's a multimillionaire who is actually running many offices around the world with his agency VaynerMedia. But anyway, the first thing I wanted to ask you about is the difference between a brand and a personal brand. Where would you draw the line, or what would be the main difference between these two very often overused phrases?
Yes. Okay. Branding in a traditional way, when you really make up a personality for a company or for your product. We have a lot of literature in this. This is like, I don't think I really have to explain what it is. So it still exists and it's still important. I see personal branding is adding to this, because when you see the big brands like Elon Musk, for example, huge personal brands, what you can see, he has his own personal brand, and then he has many brands. And then this personal brand is giving energy to all his brands. And I do have clients who has empire of different brands. And like the personal brand is like an umbrella, is giving energy to all these brands. But this can also work if you have only one brand, and then your personal brand, because your personal brand will give always energy to the brand. I actually do a research every summer when I analyze the biggest personal brands like Elon Musk and all these big names in the business world, and I see how much follower the person has and how much the brand has. And I don't have now the statistic on the top of my head, but sometimes it's really double, triple, 10 times more follower the personal brand has. Why? Because we want to connect with people. We know that the brand is marketing. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that there is a team who is like making ideas. Okay, what content we put to attract more customer and really manipulate them to purchase more. Everybody know this, and it's not. We are immune. We don't want to be sold anymore. We want to be convinced in another way. And personal branding is a very good way because it's attraction, it's no push. I come forward with my values, with my message as a person. Here I am with all my mistakes and all the plus points I have. And you can like me, you can hate me, you can agree with me, or you can disagree with me, but you get to know me, you connect with me if I do right my communication, and then you will believe me. And when I tell you that what I established for my brand and you should purchase from my brand, then you credit me more, and then it will help your brand to grow and get more attention. So personal branding is a really big help for any brand on any levels, because I work with tiny companies starting up, because when you start, personal brand is very good because people like to follow people. If you just start a logo, nobody cares. So for a tiny business is very good. But on the highest level, when you have big companies, there is always the CEO and all the C-level executives start to establish presence on LinkedIn, for example, because this can help the marketing and the employer branding as well. And this is now a huge trend on any level of business, not only the small or big, but it can help on any level of the business.
And that sort of drives me into my next question or topic, which is why personal branding is more important than ever before. I think in many ways you explained this already. I always say, when clients ask me about this, I always say, very simply put, because obviously I don't have hours to engage with a client or a potential client, but I always say people buy from people. People don't buy from faceless companies. And that is, I believe, nowadays more and more prevalent, more and more in the forefront of any business. And as you explained, it's not just Elon Musk, it's not just Gary Vaynerchuk, it's not just any of these big names, but I think in a very small company, in a very small environment. And if I'm right, you correct me if I'm not, but if I'm right, it's actually even more important for small businesses, because I find it quite ridiculous when somebody is calling themselves this company or that company, and we all know that is a one-man band. So essentially it is you, the company is you, the company is not XYZ or a name just on its own. Obviously, once you start building the company, you will have employees, you will have freelancers, you will have a team working with you. But in the very beginning, it's even more important than
I have a very advice on this for the people who start, because sometimes people who are starting, they don't have they feel that they don't have big achievements yet. How I will post on social media, I'm nobody, I build nothing. And this is a big concern sometimes for a starting company, that they don't feel that he has the success, the authority to really come forward. And my advice is take your followers or listeners on your journey with storytelling, and tell on social media how you are building your brand. And be transparent. Okay, I've just started my cosmetic company. This is my first product. I established this product or wine. Sorry, we should speak about wine. So this is our first wine. We have this because of that, and this is the story. And then you take them on the journey. Why we have now the second why we moved, why we bought more fields, why we expanded now. And take them with you on the journey. And I have my own experiences in this, because in 5 years ago when I started, I was nobody in marketing. Marketing is a saturated field in terms of expert in Hungary. So it's hard to break through the noise. And I had no name, and I had no clients really. I had no big company behind me who would give me the authority. So what did I do? I take them on my journey. And then sometimes I get the comments today that we are so proud of you, Boroka, to see you grow up and how much you achieved and how much you changed, and it's really good to be part of your success. And that's the point. Take them with you, make them part of your journey, make them part of your success. They don't care if you're not very successful yet. They don't care if you have no huge knowledge yet. Even you're building up your knowledge now. If you're not playing somebody like what you are not yet, it's better to be humble and transparent and say, okay, I'm doing the journey. Maybe I'm just doing my education right now and I'm sharing my thoughts during doing my education, because people connect, people like honest people like stories. And that's a very powerful tool for a starting company. It's a huge marketing advantage, especially using social media as a tool to reach people. You can build brands very, very fast. I remember I was on the market with this personal branding company 2 years, and then I get invited on the biggest stage in a marketing conference to speak about branding after 2 years. It's incredible how fast it can work if you do it right and if you use social media to reach a lot of people.
I think, again, a very overused word and a very much of a buzzword nowadays, but it's authenticity. And I think it's true, because without authenticity, obviously people will not trust you. And if they don't trust you, they will not buy from you. And the authenticity part is actually very important, because as you say, when you're starting up, that's all you have. And that's all you can give. But I think seeing examples of these sort of journeys when the person is actually sharing their journey while they're learning about the subject, and then becomes an expert in the field, and almost like an influencer type brand built up from this. I want to talk about influencers a little bit in the past, but let's go with another topic.
Okay.
Which
I just
is
make a picture for my Instagram in the meantime. But you can talk. I'm listening.
Yes. Okay. So this is actually part of building a personal brand on Instagram as well.
Yes.
So the next question is very much related to this topic. So can anyone build a personal brand? And if so, what are the fundamentals of it? Because many people think that you have to be attractive to build a personal brand. You have to be a public speaker to build a personal brand, especially nowadays when it's all about video, or more about video actually. But a lot of people, I think that's why they don't even start, because they're not sure that they can actually do it. What is your take on this?
Yes. First of all, I don't think that everybody should build a personal brand. It's for the type of personality. And you think it's for the extroverts, but I don't think it's really the thing for the extroverts, because myself, I'm also not an extrovert. I was afraid of public speaking. I hated to put pictures and put myself on social media. I think personal branding is for people who have a mission or a message to share. And I meet people who have really something to get across to the world, to the people in his industry, and he have a desire to share their thoughts. And sometimes what is lacking is courage, because I speak with many people who have who say, I want to have an impact. I have thoughts. I want to share them. I have, but the courage is missing, and they ask me to coach them through. Basically, that's what I do with my mentoring or personal branding. That I coach them through this part of, I know I have a message. I know I want to have an impact. I know I want to have followers for not the sake of having followers, but for making some good in the world or creating value in the world. And I help them to go through. And the way how I do this, it's I work with the person, because during the years I realized that difference between a successful personal brand and someone who's failing and cannot get his voice heard is a person who is very aware of himself. And that's the first step I do. I do a lot of self-reflection with the person through questions and a lot of talking. So you have to get to know yourself a little bit better, like your values, your character, your past, why you enjoy certain things, why you hate certain things, what is your strength, basically. And when you realize who you really are, and of course what your message really is, then is the next point to establish your communication. Because when you know who you are and you know what is your message, I can tell you how to put this on social media, because I have my mind is specialized on this. So I know a message or a person I can convert. So how we can get across you so people will understand you. That's basically a good strategy, on which platform you should be present, with what kind of content strategy, what you should communicate. And it's always, for me, what I see when I can get a person to really find their mission. And sometimes they know their mission, but really clarify, really strengthen it, and really, okay, this is my direction. I'm so happy with this. I really want to do this. Then all the nuances of communication, okay, what to post on LinkedIn, when to post, how to make a good picture, is the small part of the story.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can see personal brands who don't know really social media. They not post on the right time. They don't post the right picture. They have maybe grammar errors in the text, but they reach so many people because they have a very strong message and they have a very strong intention to get across their message. And that's what I see. This is the key and the core element to personal branding is self-awareness. Know who you are, you know your strengths, you know your mission, know your message. And then the easy part is the communication. And of course, there you have to be really persistent and do it every day for years and years to come. But if your message comes really from within, and that's why I'm saying its purpose is important, then you will not stop. Because you feel that the message is more important than you and your laziness and inconsistency, because that sometimes I stop communicating, but then I always reconnect to my purpose, why I'm doing this, and I always find a new motivation to communicate, and then my personal brand is growing and growing. So for me, personal branding starts here, self-awareness.
Yeah. I mean, and then that sort of brings along another question. You mentioned the core of it, the very basics of it is the person itself and what the person actually wants to deliver as a message. And the second part is, which you said is the easy part, which is probably not so easy for many people to actually put it into the world of social media. Is social media the only place where you can build a personal brand, or is there another avenue where people can achieve?
I think social media cannot be left out from the game. I tell you why. Because even if you go to a networking event or your public speaking event, where can people follow up with you? Because now I hear somebody, Christopher wrote, let's connect. Okay, we do this live, but where can we follow up with the people? Where they can message me and research me and see my background and see my services if I don't have social media. So nowadays, social media can be left out for any companies, I think even B2B, because people research, people check, people, we learned to use internet to research data. And anytime before we make a purchase decision, we research. And then if you are not findable, you don't have a presence on social media, which reflects the same thing what you reflected in this public speaking or networking event, then you just lose it. So social media, that's why I start branding with social media, because when you establish a good communication on social media, we can go into PR. We can go into media, because then you get exposure, you get attention, and what people will do when I have a public speaking event, that day I have hundreds of new followers. Why? Because they get to know me on the public speaking event, but they will follow up with me on social media. So that's why I think the first and foremost, the most important thing is always to establish someone's social media. It doesn't need to be huge. So not everybody needs 1 million followers, because especially in wine industry, it's not I don't know, it's mainstream. Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly about the million follower people.
No, it's a niche subject. Mine is a niche subject. I have in Hungary 50, 60,000 followers, and I will never have 1 million followers, because there is in 10 million people in Hungary, there is no 1 million person interested in personal branding. There is maybe 100,000 or 200,000 people who is interested in personal branding in Hungary. That's the top I can reach. So we shouldn't compare our brand to mainstream influencers, because they reach the mainstream public. When we have something niche like wine or personal branding or anything, we just have to calculate, okay, in our country, how big is this community, and how big is the following I can build. And it's not about the number, it's about building the right community from the right people.
And then there's another question because you just mentioned something about how many millions of followers and how many millions of people live in a country, for example. It just came into my mind. And I saw it from you in a post or another post, I don't know, I can't remember where, but you are obviously purposely creating content in Hungarian, for example. What do you think about, do you have to create content in English nowadays, or do you have to just simply consider your target audience and your target market? Because I think it's a very important point. English is such a common language now that you can't ignore it, but you don't necessarily have to do English, do you?
I want to, because I want to expand. You told in the introduction that I'm spending a lot of time in Dubai. So I want to expand my market, and I'm really considering and now testing out, because it's a very sensitive point when you build a brand in one language. I would post in English, I would lose maybe half of my followers or even more who doesn't speak the language. So it would really hurt my brand, and it's a very hard transformation for me. For my clients, I always suggest to start in your native language, because personal branding is personal development in a way. And to build up your courage, you will build up your communication skill, to build up the skill to really teach people and really,
engage with them.
Yes, engage with them, connect with them is a skill. Yeah. And it's of course is easier for you to connect with your own people first. Like connect with the people in Dubai. It's so many culture. I don't know them. I don't know the way they think. What are their buttons? What should I say? What are the problems in communication? Because probably not 100% the same as in Hungary. So of course, it's also a point of market research that on a different market, you have different problems, you have different communication points. And also because you have to build up your skills in communication, and it's easier to do it in your native language to your people. And then if you want to build from there, I'm not what I'm thinking for myself, because it's really a problem for me to how I will switch now to English. Probably I will not, but I will use platforms I'm not using, like Twitter or Threads, and I will start an English brand there, or I will start an English blog. So I will not switch my existing platform and losing my followers, but building new platforms. That's what I'm thinking. But it's not easy, this transition for me. It's always important to have in consideration your business goals. And for me, it's changed now. Yeah. So our communication strategy has to change. But it's always easier to speak to your people at the beginning.
Yeah, very interesting. I never really considered this part, how difficult it is from switching from one language to another without ruining your already existing follower base or the connections you built already. And yeah, it's interesting to hear that you're probably going to go on.
It depends on how big your following is.
Yeah.
I have not big, so it would be a sacrifice. Of course, if I would be more in the beginning of my journey, it's maybe not.
It's an easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you mentioned platforms and going into new platforms. Do you have a platform where you can see building a personal brand is easier than other platforms? You're obviously very big on LinkedIn, but yeah, there are many examples of people building it on Instagram, building it on Facebook or Twitter, or nowadays obviously TikTok and YouTube and everything else. Is there a platform which you think about it from a wine perspective? Is there a platform where you would suggest a person who works in wine to build their personal branding to start with?
Yeah, I have a very interesting point of view on this, which changed recently, because I think now we are living in a golden age of platforms. And before Facebook and Instagram was a little bit dead, we all experienced this. And then TikTok came and they had this huge engagement, and all the influencers went to TikTok because they had organic growth, which they didn't experience since years on Facebook and Instagram. But now Instagram and Facebook changed their algorithm, and there is organic growth on Facebook and Instagram. I have sometimes posts going viral, which didn't happen in the last 10 years on Facebook and Instagram, posts going viral. And basically what I see about these platforms and also in the wine industry, doesn't matter which platform you take, but take it seriously. So I don't suggest, especially if you don't have a crew or agency around you, to disperse and be everywhere, because you have to be Gary Vaynerchuk. No, he has a whole industry around him to keep up with this content. When you start and you're doing your content on your own or with a little bit of help, I would suggest concentrate on one or two platforms, and one outreach platform and a long form platform. One example, TikTok, YouTube. Why? Because YouTube, TikTok, you can have a good outreach, like you can go viral, you have a huge engagement, and then it's easy to make content, 1 minute videos, it's easy. So, but to be honest, to really build an authority and an expert is not enough, because in 1 minute videos you will not you will not able to convey your message as an expert. You cannot go deep. It's good for outreach, to get yourself out to the people, to get yourself known to the people. And you have to have another platform, for example, a podcast or YouTube or blog for long form content. Like, or for example, this live is also, and you said that this live is bringing you clients. Yes, because it's long form content, and you can convince people to be your clients through long form content, because this is a funnel. They will attracted by your short form content, and then you go and research you, and you go deeper in your content, and then they make the purchase decision. Or if you just give the example of how you got to know me, you got to know me through LinkedIn, which is an outreach platform, and then you research me on YouTube, which is long form. And then I convinced you, probably through my long form content, that I'm okay to be invited to a live like this, because I can talk and I have really expertise, and not just like blah 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 short content. So that's how I would do your strategy: to choose a LinkedIn pairing with a blog, or choose a LinkedIn pairing with YouTube or podcast, or choose an Instagram, which can be now an outreach platform because of the algorithm change, and pair it with YouTube, podcast, or blog, or the live can be also long form content. And that is a good strategy. And I suggest you to get to know these platforms really well. Like, find an expert in this platform and learn all the little things. It's very easy. I can teach TikTok, YouTube, any platform in 10 hours so well that you could be a teacher of this platform, because they're easy. They are applications, they are toys. Like, you push this, you post this, and it's very easy. So, but take your time. If you say, okay, I'm going to be myself on YouTube, or I want to start a podcast, okay, research all the expert in podcast, pay their courses, follow what they say, and do it really well. Like, do it like, if you say every Tuesday I'm going to put out my podcast, do it every Tuesday. Put your podcast for 1 year, for 2 years, and you will have success, like 100%, because all platform works. Every platform works if you learn how to do it, because now it's a very good algorithm. You can go viral. You can reach a lot of people. Just you have to learn how to use the application, and you have to develop your message, which I thought is the most important thing, because if you don't have a strong message, even if you're expert in using the platform, you will not get across.
Yes, yeah. I often say very much the same thing to clients who reach out and ask how many platforms and what platforms they should be. First of all, I think it's personal, because some people can express themselves better on a video. Some people express themselves better in a written format, like a blog, for example. But the idea is to have a top of the funnel sort of short form version, and then you need to bring them down on the funnel with a longer form version. And which is quite funny, because what you mentioned, that I watch your YouTube videos, and that's what made me ask you. But actually, I think your content was very good. I already decided to ask you before I watch your content on long form as well, because I think your content on other platforms is really good as well. But, and then this is the last question. In the meantime, my dog came in from outside. This is my last question, which I have for today, which is, let's talk about influencers a little bit, because today is well, not today, it's always a hot topic and a big subject in the last 10x years. But are influencers actually personal brands? And when do they become a personal brand, if they are?
It's a good question. I never thought of this. If you take the definition of personal brand, it's an expert who has influence in their expertise and who can influence people, and they can influence people into buying something. What is missing from the influencer? Sometimes the expertise, but when you look closer, even a fashion influencer or a makeup influencer is somehow an expert because they are good in fashion. They have a good sense of fashion. They know where to buy stuff, which makeup to put on. I'm also learning from this woman because I have no time to test 100 to find which is the best. So of course it's very helpful if someone does it for me. So they basically expert. They even lipstick or what cool fashionable clothes to put on. It's some kind of expertise, and they can influence people and they can make people purchase stuff. So there is someone has followers, but for example, putting only pictures in swimming suit and only men are liking the pictures. This is where I can question this because there is no expertise other than you have a pretty body and you not really have a message, and your followers are not really interested in your opinion, but interested in your body. So if you would tell that, okay, let's vote for this politician, people will not follow and listen to you because they just follow you because you're pretty. And we can see this kind of brands, but I'm not into this. I'm not a man, but sometimes I see women like, just dancing, and I find myself it's so boring because it's okay. What else other than you look good? Like what else you have to say? Because it's boring. So it's a good question actually. If an influencer is personal brand. An influencer is a personal brand if she can show some expertise, and don't overthink this. It can be really an expert in makeup and can really influence people and have an impact on people and have people to buy this certain lipstick. Then it's a personal brand. So I think we have to differentiate by looking into their content and decide who is really an influencer or personal brand.
Yes, thankfully in the wine world, they don't really dance around in bikinis or whatever. Maybe they do. I don't really follow them too much. So in that sense, I think for me the interesting part is that when they actually become a personal brand, because in many ways, influencers are personal brands, but I think for me, it's when they actually connect their personality to actually selling something of their own. Would that make sense? If somebody actually starts their own company?
It's called a marketing endorsement, like before social media and still nowadays, like big brands buy stars to endorse their product.
Yeah.
And that's what the social media does. The brands buy people, followers to endorse their product. And it's a way of marketing which is way before social media.
Yes.
And it's working, but I don't think it's the best business. I have friends who are in this industry and they are endorsing products and they get the fee and for this or the commission. You cannot really make a lot of money with this, especially not in Hungary. Maybe on the international level, because we know that Kim Kardashian is charging $1 million for a post or whatever. But a smarter way, and that's what many influencers recognize later when they have really authority and a big following, to establish an own brand. And that's many of them do. Usually they establish a beauty brand. Yeah. Because they realize it's much better to endorse your own product than a product, because then you don't only get the fee, but you get all the income from the product because it's your company. Yeah. So as a business model, is much better to own your own brand and endorse that one. But many influencers are developing from first endorsing products of brands and then having the fame and the capital at one point to establish their own brand. And that's what you can see in Hungary. Many fashion and beauty influencers are establishing cosmetics or fashion brands. We can see this so many times in industry, and we can even see this in Hollywood. Like now, Bella Hadid just came out with a new perfume. Every Hollywood star is now establishing their own brand because they realize that that's the real money, that's the real power, and that's basically the Kardashians and Jenner family did. And basically, they were the first, I think, who built this like really huge and big, to capitalize on your personal brand, to capitalize on your influence, not by just endorsing brands, but establishing your own brand at the end. So what I suggest, especially in the wine industry, of course, you can be an influencer for wine or the lifestyle influencer, where you can integrate the wine as a way of life or lifestyle. But the best is when you really become the face of your company. Yeah. That's the most profitable or the best business model for personal brand.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Hollywood, because obviously in the wine world as well, obviously Brad and Angelina, when they were together, they both a very famous vineyard, and John Bon Jovi has his own wine brand and whatnot. So everyone's buying, but in the wine world, it's a bit different because they're not buying or they're not creating their own brand to make even more money, because in wine it's more of a lifestyle choice to have. Obviously they make money out of it as well, but I think it's first a lifestyle choice, secondary is the money for them.
I don't know. I think they make a lot of money with this.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. Now you learn something in Hungarian again. Yeah. Yes, I think they make a lot of money with this as well.
Yes, but yes, I think it was a very interesting conversation while an airplane is just flying above me, which is very nice. I think hopefully everyone can hear. Very interesting conversation, and it was interesting to see your perspective as well as somebody who is outside of the wine world. And yeah, thank you for your time, and thank you for your expertise. Hopefully everyone learned something. One personal question, if I may. You have to explain why Dubai.
What?
Why Dubai?
Why Dubai? Oh, everybody asking.
Well, yes, I mean, you could choose so many countries.
This because I always get this question. Why Dubai? Basically, in Hungary, in my field, I became known, and I'm speaking on stages. I'm working with the biggest companies, and then I had to think what's next, because I need challenges. So there is two ways to expand. Either you open up new businesses, a new way, and another way to expand, if you continue on your journey, just take it to the international or bigger market. And I believe more in this route, because I believe that if you do something long enough, that's the way to become really good. And if you're always changing, you will not really become deep knowledge, and you're not going to gain deep knowledge. Because while I'm studying and serving people in personal branding, I'm kind of researching this topic and developing my own philosophy about this, which I have now, how I view personal branding, and I actually want to write a book about this. So this is my expertise, and I just want to bring it to a bigger market. And then, of course, you can go to the US, you can go to UK, but I was attracted by the Middle East now. It's more an instinct attraction in one way. And of course, it's also a business decision, because we all know that there is a lot of things happening right now in Dubai. There is a lot of money. Everybody is going there for conferences. It really became a hub now for business as well. and then I just want to take advantage of that is now a big concentration of many nations, and it's becoming a hub. And if I manage to get into this communication lines, I think that can accelerate or make me go faster in my career. So I took this huge leap of faith now. And then I start. I don't know if I will succeed. Maybe in 1 year I will laugh about this, okay? But I have to try. So now I start to build connections first of all, because everything starts with connections. I started establishing myself in Dubai just last year. So I'm very beginning of my journey. And I just concentrating of building communication and connection with people right now. So anybody wants to connect with me from Dubai or want to be my client, I'm here for it.
But I think you left out one very important factor from this as well. It's that you like hot countries, and that was another important decision.
I like it better. Yes, that's true.
Well, thank you very much for your time once again, and thanks for your input and insight into this personal branding field. But most importantly, the call to action, which I always have at the end, is that anyone has any questions, please reach out to us, either Boroka or me. We're both very happy to answer questions or just simply connect and discuss things as well. And hope everyone learned something today, or at least we made certain things clearer than it was before. So hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you very much. Thank you, Boroka. Bye-bye.
Bye.